I'm Nathan with Blue Oak. Today I'm going to talk about differences between aerial lifts. My mom and grandma have come to visit me, and I'm going to show them some new equipment that we're thinking about investing in. And they didn't know what the difference between the lift that we already have is between that and the spider lift. And I figure, there's a lot of people out there that don't know all the pros and cons to the two different styles. So we're just going to talk about pros and cons. If you're thinking about getting an aerial lift for your business, there's a lot to think about. These types of lifts are towable cherry pickers, they're often called. They are not spider lifts. They are different. The main plus to this towable cherry picker style is that it can do a lot of the same things that a spider lift can do, but it's a lot simpler of a machine, and therefore it is a lot cheaper. So just for reference here, this was around $30,000. This is a 42 footer, and they do go a little higher than that if you get a bigger one, or a little cheaper than that if you get a smaller one. But we found that a 42 footer is actually decent for doing a variety of tree work related tasks. Okay, it's also a lot lighter of a machine. It's only 4,000 pounds. So it's easier to tow this with a small vehicle or like a smaller truck. That's another positive. It's also a safe machine. So it's good for people who don't know what they're doing. It doesn't go up as high. It'll still lift up and rotate and do a lot of different things, and it still folds down nicely, kind of like a spider lift does. But the outriggers on these nifty lifts, these towable cherry picker style, they are just kind of straight and they're fixed. They don't have any custom outrigger footprint. They are not self-drive unless you get one that has the self-drive tracks on it. This is a gas engine, it's not a diesel engine, so it's just not as powerful of a machine. And they're typically not as versatile as a spider lift is designed to be. So that's the nifty lift. Let's walk over here and show the...
You didn't show the bucket.
The bucket's pretty much the same. It's just a center mounted bucket. I'm not,
It's all tucked in there.
Yeah, I'm not going to pull that cover off. But there is something about the bucket that I'll mention while we're talking. With the nifty lift, you have to push and hold a button with your thumb and operate the levers with your other hand. So you have to have two hands occupied on the control panel, which is really a bummer. The CMC spider lift has joysticks, the 90 footer does at least, and it has joysticks that you can just operate with one hand, which is really cool. And the Toypin has a foot pedal for their 75 model, and that foot pedal still allows you to have one hand free, which is really nice. So the spider lifts that we've been using so far, you don't have to have both hands tied up to operate the control. And that is a big drawback, especially if you're doing tree work. Like sometimes you want to be backing up away from your cut. As you're making a cut, you'd like to be backing up for your own safety. You can't do that with the nifty lift. All right, so this has been warming up. This Toypin model has a plug-in style remote, but the CMC 90 and 100 model has a wireless Bluetooth remote, which is pretty cool. So anyways, this remote is how we're going to drive it. I'll drive the talk track. I'm just going to walk around.
Okay. A big bucket.
So that's in the turtle mode. That's better for when you're turning around, like doing any turning. If I want to just go in a straight line, or I want to drive it faster, I can switch it to a rabbit mode. And it goes a little bit faster. Let's talk about some of those comparisons. This is much more expensive. If you're buying this in, I think the southeastern United States, then your contact is going to be Trey, and I'll put his number in the description because he is an awesome sales guy. He is the best salesman that I've ever talked to. So he'll definitely hook you up with the best possible price that he can, but just understand that this is like over 4 times as expensive as the Nifty Lift is. It's also much heavier. It's like 2,500 pounds heavier. It's 6,500 pounds if I'm not mistaken. Now, if we go up to the CMC 90 or 100, or we go with the Toypin 98 model, they're all past 9,000 pounds. So they get substantially heavier. I honestly love this model, the 75, because it's got tremendous reach, and it's, you know, not too much extra weight to have to tow. You also have to use a trailer to tow this. So we have to have a tilt trailer that we load this on. And I would say that's also a drawback because, you know, the self-drive option is great when you're on a job site. You can drive this thing to right up to the tree or go in between narrow spaces or whatever you got to do. So it's much easier to move this around on the job site. But actually getting it to the job site requires an additional piece of equipment, like a 22-foot long trailer. And then that's extra weight as well. You got to factor in that into your GVWR. So, you know, you start to get kind of close to needing a CDL that when you get into these heavier machines, and you couple that with the weight of the trailer that you have to use to get it to the job. So that's a little bit of a headache, and all of that is avoided with a towable cherry picker. But what makes these Spire lifts worth the extra money, if you can afford it, is their adaptability. And obviously their reach is going to be much better, but their adaptability is another big thing. Let's look at these outriggers. Remember the outriggers on the Nifty Lift they were just straight? These ones are jointed. I will say, I do not appreciate Toypin's engineering design of this pin for their outriggers. But these are jointed outriggers, so they can set up on much more uneven terrain without needing to prop or crib or do anything like that. Not only that, they have a narrow setting. So right now, this outrigger is in the narrow setting, but I can bring it out to here, and it's in the normal setting. Now, the reason why that's really cool is because, like, over on this cliff edge here, where I've got this steep drop off, I might not be able to put this outrigger in the normal setting. You know, like envision maybe that there's a house or something here. There's some kind of obstacle, and I can just put it right there, and I won't have the reach going this way, but I'll still have all the reach going that way. And this allows me to set the machine up and go to work, even though my range window is a little bit, you know, more limited. So that's really cool, having adaptable outrigger footprint. As I've put out all my outriggers, I can still drive it. So I'm gonna drive it to a spot where I know that I won't have any problem putting them off. But this is where, you know, having a wired remote is not as cool as having a wireless remote.
Oh, that's hooked up to that?
Yeah,
it's attached?
This is the remote.
That's wireless?
And,
oh, it's
so
attached.
I have to stand kind of close to it.
Yeah.
If I'm turning, then this basket or this outrigger could hit me.
Oh, geez.
It's not fun.
No.
But I can do all the controls from the basket as well. So I'll just go ahead and switch this remote over to the basket.
Oh my gosh.
I like Toypin's basket. They have this nice little ladder here. The CMC model didn't have.
Now, how much weight can go up? Just 400?
441 pounds unrestricted for the Toypin model. The CMC has it has different working envelopes based on user weight. So it has less range with 500 pounds as opposed to 176 pounds. If it's working properly, I can drive it from the basket as well. It's a little bit of a jumpy experience if you're trying to drive it around in the basket, but it's kind of nice. Like, you can just go to work on your first tree and then lift your outriggers up and start driving to the next tree. You don't even have to lift the outriggers up all the way. They can just be like a few inches off the ground. So, you know, it's nice and quick. now I'm going to switch to my outrigger controls. I'm going to put my outriggers down. So both the toy pin as well as the CMC have self-leveling outrigger features. The Nifty Lift is not self-level. There are towable cherry pickers that do self-level, but I don't really like the self-level feature on that because they don't work all the time. So I've gotten used to like doing manual leveling with the Nifty Lift, and I actually really like that. They provide 2 level bubbles, and you can like work on getting your side to side and then you're back and forth, and it's really fast. It's easy to do. I don't really like the self-level features because sometimes they don't work. But anyway, this light on the toy pin will glow green once it says it's level. So it's glowing green at me. I can start taking it up on the basket. I'm not going to take it up all the way just yet because I don't have a harness on. The toy pin you have to.
You're supposed to have a harness on?
I'm going to get a harness. The toy pin you have to get this foot pedal in order for it to operate. And it will not lift your lower boom until you've raised your upper boom quite a bit. And then it'll finally lift your lower boom. That can kind of be a bummer depending on where you're set up. If you have a branch directly over your head or whatever, you might not be able to rotate out from under it. So right about here, it should let me lift my lower boom down. There we go.
Oh my.
The reason that they do that is because they don't want people to drive the basket into the dirt by lifting the lower boom right away, because you can see it's pushing me forward and pushing my basket down. The Nifty Lift isn't like that. You can lift the lower boom right away, which is nice because you have to lift the lower boom in order to turn the turret. So with the Nifty Lift, I don't have to lower. With that machine over there, I can lift the lower boom right away, and then I can turn. Which means like if there's a branch right above my head, I can get out from under it before having to lift my upper boom. But this one and the CMC 90, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's the same. They both require you to lift your upper boom quite a bit before you can raise your lower boom. I'm just gonna kind of come down here, and then I'll get a harness on and take this thing all the way to the top. But now the upper won't even go any further because it knows that my lower boom, the lower boom won't go any further up because it knows that my upper boom is too close to the ground. It has sensors in it that prevent it from getting too close to the ground. So I'm gonna telescope and I'll come down to where I need to come. I thought that when we first started making the transition to buying a spider lift, I was really excited because I thought that, let me just turn that off for a second. I was really excited because I thought the Nifty Lift had all these safety mechanisms in place, and it really prevented the operator from having total control of what he wanted to do with the machine. You know, as a professional, I like to be able to choose what hydraulic function I want to turn on, and you know, I should be able to make that choice. There shouldn't be sensors constantly stopping me from doing something that I feel like I need to do. But I find that, you know, all those little gimmicks and safety sensors, they're built into these spider lifts also. And the override procedures, you know, yeah, we can override if we have to, but it's quite a pain in the butt. You have to like pull panels off the side and like screw valves in and unscrew other valves, and you know, that's the only way to do it. And that can be a real problem if you have a sensor that's like kind of messed up a little bit or like sort of out of alignment, and it thinks that the telescope is up even though your telescope is all the way down. You know, it thinks that the boom is up even though the boom is down, and it won't drive and it won't set its outriggers down. It won't do anything because it thinks the boom is up. So, you know, we've had to there's been a learning curve with using these machines. But that's like anything else. I just am saying that it's not, you know, this is transitioning to a spire lift. In some ways, it's more suited for the arborist environment, but in other ways, there's still a lot of like stupid sensors and things and that you just have to deal with. Anyway, I'm gonna go put a harness on and we will take this thing all the way up. Right here already. I guess I'm trying to hit it too fast. That's another one of those little gimmicks. If you try to operate the controls too soon after turning it on, it freaks the machine out, and then the machine gives an error code, so you have to turn it off.
Well, don't turn it off when you're up in the air.
Then you gotta turn it on again.
Please don't do that.
So this basket auto levels. You don't have an option to mess with that from the basket controls. I don't really like that. The Nifty Lift, you can adjust it manually if it doesn't work for auto leveling. But this machine, you can't. All right. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to lift up our upper boom. And as I lift up my upper boom, then I'm able to lift up my lower boom more. My lower boom will keep going until it's almost straight up and down. Once the lower boom is fully extended, it'll start to telescope up, which is really cool. I gotta go my upper a little bit more. All right, now let's try. There we go. So now I'm like fully up, and now as I continue to do my upper boom, watch what happens. And it just keeps going and going and going and going. And so
70 feet?
not quite. But it's a big range. It's you know,
Yeah.
there's 3 sections of the lower boom. So you've got 2 telescopes. That's the full lower boom, and now I can still lift my upper boom up if I want to.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like all the way up into this tree from all the way back there.
Uh-huh. Oh my gosh. He's going higher. Ugh. Oh my gosh. It looks like it's tipping, but it isn't. It's turning. Jeez. Okay, honey, I'm good. This is good. Oh, is he coming down? Oh, good. Oh. Okay.
I could go higher if I wanted to, but the branch of this silver maple is actually blocking me, so. But you can see I'm like at the very top of these trees.
Yeah. Oh boy. So are you bringing it down?
Yeah.
But
Takes a long time to come down.
Does it? Yeah, I'm feeling it. It's my boy up there.
Alright, so I want to talk about a difference between the CNC model and the Hoypen model. This is the 75 equipment model, and I mean it's got comparable outreach to the CMC 90 HD Plus. I think the 90 has a little bit more, but like the working envelope of this thing is pretty stout actually, and it's considerably less expensive than the CMC 90. But it doesn't have a jib, but it does have this corner-mounted rotational basket, which is really cool because it's almost like a jib in some way. It gives you just a little bit extra reach if you rotate it out that way. But it also lets you fit around tighter spaces if you need to by rotating to the side all the way. So that's kind of cool. It's not as cool as the jib on the CMC, but it's pretty neat. All right, and so now I'm able to just switch to my outriggers. I'm all the way down on everything, I think. Oh, that telescope. There we go. All right, we're down on everything. All right, so we're gonna switch to outriggers. We're gonna lift up. And from right here, I don't have to keep lifting my outriggers if I don't want to. I can drive to the next work site.
Yeah.
If I wanted to.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to. We're gonna lift this up all the way. Come on up closer. I want to show you kind of something I do consider to be a drawback of this unit, and that is how hard it is to put the outriggers back. So once they're all the way up, you have to pull this collar and lift up, and then rotate the whole thing over. And if this triangle is not perfectly in line, then you won't be able to get all of them. It's actually hard to pull these pins. This is the one, and it went that time. But that's the one that always gives me a problem. If this is out of alignment by even a millimeter, I cannot get outrigger 3 to click in. So what do you have to do? You have to rotate it, but you can't rotate it unless the lower boom is up, and you can't lift the lower boom unless the upper boom is up, and you can't lift the upper boom unless the outriggers are all down and the machine is level. The only way around that is to bypass by unscrewing some valves. You have to take this panel off here. You have to take off another panel over here.
They probably don't want you doing that.
No. You got to know how to do this because we've had to do this on the job because we're out of alignment by just that much. So we've had to bypass and rotate the turret, overriding the sensors by pulling that panel off there, pulling the panel off on the other side, opening the valves up, or screwing them in, whichever one it is. And then, if you don't screw the valve in all the way, when you're ready to go back to normal operation, then the tracks won't drive, the outriggers won't move, nothing works. So everything's got to be like perfectly fine-tuned, and there's a lot of margin for error, and that's a lot of downtime on a job, trying to figure out what needs to be adjusted while the client's looking at you like you're an idiot. Not fun. But I will say it is a great machine as you start to figure those things out. I want to show you something. Get a sideways, get a straight on view of it.
You mean from the front?
Yeah, from the front.
Oh, it goes lower?
You're losing a lot of ground clearance and you're also losing some stability. You don't want to drive like this on a hill, turn the machine over. But if you're on flat ground and you need to get through something really narrow, you have that option, which is really cool.
It's like a transformer.
to be our comparison. Putting this pretty much in the exact same spot where the spider lift was. So I use these cones beside the outriggers. You can kind of see, like, this is about, it's a little less compact than what the spider lift can get to, and especially the CMC model. The CMC model can actually get under 36 inches, and this one's like just over 36 inches. I think it's like 39, if I'm not mistaken. So anyways, they're like around 3 feet, and the Nifty Lift, it can't get any more compact than what it is, which is whatever the wheelbase is. Now come on over here. This is different, totally different engine. You might consider it more of a pro than a con, but it's a Honda gas engine versus a Kubota diesel engine. So simpler, cheaper to work on, probably a little more fuel efficient. Well, that's debatable. The fuel is cheaper at least. But just like the spider lift, the Nifty Lift has its little gimmicks and kinks and stuff. And it took us a while to learn the proper way to like turn this thing on. I remember I didn't have the fuel line closed during transport one time, and it like bent the rod in the engine somehow, and it was a whole thing, and it like the lift was out of commission until like the shop was able to actually fix it. That was a learning curve, and that totally debilitated us on a job. But anyways, we've come a long way learning how this machine works, and it's respecting what it needs. So we're gonna let this warm up for a minute. Then I'm gonna set up the outriggers. The way the Nifty Lift is designed, it's not supposed to be, these towable cherry pickers. They're all the same. You're not supposed to leave them hooked up to the truck or a mini skid in this case. Now, we have actually had a lot more adaptability with our Nifty Lift because we have a mini skid. That allows us to get in places that we couldn't otherwise get in with a truck. But normally, most people with the truck, you're going to be pretty limited on where you can turn it in and everything. Because, it's long. It's like 18 feet long. So having the self-drive on the spider lift is much better. Much, much better. But having a mini skid to move your Nifty Lift around, hey, that's pretty cool too. Come on over here. I'm going to show you these little self-leveling.
Moving.
Alright, now, the Nifty Lift is not self-leveling. Some towable cherry picker models are, like, it's slipping me right now, but Bill Jacks or something. JLG, Genie, there's a couple different, how low Bill Jacks, that one. That one's self-leveling, but I don't like the self-leveling feature. I much prefer this little bubble here. This little double level bubble. It's so awesome. It's so easy to use. It's much easier to use than that single bubble on a circle. So I'm going to get one of those bubbles leveled, and then I'm going to get the other one level. I'm going to do it one at a time. It's so fast once you get used to it. I love this double level bubble. I'm actually going to find one of those.
Double bubble.
I'll have to buy it from Nifty Lift, I guess. And I'm going to mount it to the spider lift so that if the auto level doesn't work, I can just manually do it. Oh, man, I love it. So I get that first one kind of close. Side to side. And then I focus on the next one. This is why it's good to not, this is why it's ideal to be disconnected. And it is hard to get out of this once you get started. It's really dangerous with this branch manager grapple because you can come out of it and the whole grapple chops.
Oh gosh.
Ugh. Okay. Saw how that dropped down like that?
Yeah.
A little dangerous. We've had people almost lose their fingers. Alright, anyways.
Great.
So now it'll be easy to level itself. And that's it. It's that easy. I just get one of the bubbles in the lines, and then I just get the other bubble in the lines. Super easy.
Okay.
All right, so now we're gonna take this up just for a comparison.
It's so loud.
Oh, I also want to say that these nifty lifts, they come stock with an alarm bell that when you're hitting the green button, it's going beep, beep, beep. We got so tired of that we found the cable that was causing it and yanked it.
You know, it's probably a safety.
It is, and you know what? It's
Jeez.
awesome because now we can actually use this thing even if the machine is like slightly off level or whatever. We can make that choice in the circumstance.
To accidentally flip the
No,
thing
they're
over.
built in with 3-to-1 tip over ratios. You can't flip them over unless you're trying to rig a limb.
I don't like that. And you don't have your harness on.
This one only goes up 45 feet.
Yeah. And you don't have your harness on.
All right, fine. All right, got the harness.
Good
That's
job.
the right answer. But I will say about that alarm bell thing. It's somehow, I don't know how we did it. I just know that when we did it, it like fixed 2 of our problems. It took away that annoying beeping sound, and it also took away some kind of level, like, sensor that kills the machine and like takes away all your controls if anything kind of comes off level. So like I could be fully extended out this way and all the weight is on these outriggers, and then the back outriggers might kind of get a little light, right? And so then the machine thinks it's out of level. It's nowhere near going to tip over because these outriggers are fine. But because
Well, what makes you think it's nowhere near going to tip over?
because they're built with 3-to-1 like range, so like this thing can take 500 pounds all the way to full extension. That means that in theory it's going to take 1,500 pounds at full extension to start to tip it over, right? So the only way you're going to do that is if rigging some limb off your basket or something like that, or if you're, you know, setting your outriggers up on a slope and then the slope gives way, and then it, you know, then it could happen like that too. But it's really hard to flip these things over, okay? So
Okay.
anyways, I don't like the fact that the controls would totally stop and I'd have to like have somebody lower me down manually.
Oh,
I'd have to
gosh.
rappel out of the basket
That's
with my
not
harness
good.
and actually rappel out of the basket because the whole machine just totally freezes.
Then how do you... Oh,
Because
okay.
some stupid little sensor got tripped.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. I know it's not the right answer. I'm not telling
Okay.
anybody to do it.
You don't
right?
want to tell anybody's mother about that.
I'm not telling you to do it. I'm not telling you to advertise it. I don't even know how to do it. I just know that we managed to figure it out by the grace of God, and we fixed 2 problems.
I would just omit that.
Killed
You
2
know.
birds with 1 stone. And I will say this
That
too, and this
information.
goes for Nifty Lift, to like maybe they'll hear this somehow, maybe this will somehow get to them. If you don't make the bloody thing so loud and annoying, we would not have been motivated to get into the wiring and like start pulling stuff. We tried to pad it with foam. We tried to cover the siren with cardboard.
But maybe it's not for you guys. Maybe it's for
It's
people.
the most annoying thing. Clients hated it.
Oh.
Other contractors that were subcontracting us out for work, they
Okay.
hated it. The ground crew hates it. Everybody hates it. It doesn't have to be that loud. It was so, and it's every time you hit the green button, every movement, it's making that noise. Go here. Go there.
So that black thing goes down and makes a ladder for you?
Yeah, it's not as cool as the toy pin, but it's
No.
the same thing.
Okay, yeah.
Now, unlike the toy pin, I can lift the lower boom right away. And now I can rotate right away. That's really useful if there's like something right over my head.
Yeah. And you don't have to be balanced? You don't have to be in the middle? No.
It's designed for 2 people.
Okay. I'd be in the middle on the floor crying like a little baby. Oh gosh, that goes up so fast. It's a lot faster than the other one. Oh my
God.
yeah. Wow. And there he is. That was so fast.
Yeah, that is one advantage to this Nifty Lift. that's my outreach with the 42 nifty lift. I mean, look, it's still like we could have worked this whole tree.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have been able to like totally get to the very tips, you know? So with this model, I still have to get out
and climb
a lot. It still saves a lot of hazardous work. There's been lots of hazardous trees that we've been able to work without putting the climber in as much risk. But, you know, this machine just isn't going to do the whole tree most of the time.
Uh-huh.
You see, I was all the way to the top of that one with the toy pin, and I'm not even able to cut it. I'm not even able to touch the trunk at all with this one.
Oh.
As I go higher, I lose my reach.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, because watch what happens. The upper boom is going to come up, and then it's going to pull my basket away from that tree. Okay, so like at this point, we can hook back into the mini skid and start moving it around again.
Yeah.
You know, the mini skid is awesome. Doing this with the truck, it definitely is inefficient. It's not as efficient as just like lifting up your outriggers and driving to the next tree. So
yeah,
definitely not as efficient, but it's, you know.
But it is faster going up.
Oh yeah, it's way more efficient than the actual articulation.
So I wonder if it ends up being the same. I mean, it doesn't have the reach though.
It would depend on the job.
Yeah.
If you're working a small tree, like the Bradford pear, then yeah, this might be faster, assuming that you only have to set it up one time. Like, and you can like easily get it in position with the truck. And now this is what we didn't do before when we first got this machine. You got to close the fuel line. And again, this is just for the nippy lift. This might not apply to other models, but you got to actually close the fuel line and let it bleed out, so there's no fuel in the engine while it's being transported, because it sloshes around and it mixes the oil and the gas. I also really hate these hatches. They are $600 for this. And the mechanism is not very user-friendly either. It's not easy to adjust. I mean, well, I guess it's okay, but these suckers will come open really easily on the freeway, even if you have them latched.
Oh man.
So that's why we use carabiners on ours to lock it. Because I'll tell you, I've almost sideswiped oncoming traffic with my hatch door coming open during transport. Yeah, it's not that great, but
what is this?
That bar is just for the tail lights. That's just the bar to hold the tail lights and support the wiring.
Looks like it's cracking.
It is. I mean, when you're backing it up into position and stuff, that's the thing that's gonna get hit, you know?
Okay, so are we good?
Well, yeah, this hopefully is good, an educational video. Kind of comparing the strengths and weaknesses of the two machines. And again, much cheaper, much safer,
faster,
much lighter, reasonably fast, but it's not going to do all the work that the spider lift is able to do. It's also the word I'm looking for. It's got its own versions of limitations and stuff. Okay.
Okay.
But it's a great entry level, I think. It's a great entry level. We learned on this machine, and you know, that way we learned how to like rig and not hit hit the lift with branches and stuff. Yeah, I'd rather learn on a $30,000 machine than like a $130,000 machine. So
Yeah.
all right, thanks for watching.